This is the case of Rasheem Carter, Part 2. If you want to know more about the mysterious circumstances surrounding his murder and disappearance, please continue watching. In part 1, I gave you some of my theories and some of the information surrounding this case, but part 2 is going to be information that I got from articles and another theory that I have of why he was left to walk back to his hotel. But the family of Rasheem Carter is calling for a more thorough investigation into his disappearance and death. Now, his family is alleging that he was murdered after he told his mother he was being followed by white men in trucks, as I said on part 1. So, the Mississippi, his lawyer, Ben Crump, said, "What we have here is a Mississippi lynching." And that's according to his lawyer, Ben Crump. And Mr. Benjamin Crump is a high-profile civil rights lawyer and attorney for the Carter family. And Crump told reporters an autopsy by the state medical examiner's office found Carter's body had been dismembered. And the autopsy did not specify the type of dismemberment, but noted that the remains contained 24 bones as well as smaller bone fragments that were found across 2 acres. Now, I don't know how, people or the investigators can later go on to say that his body was scavenged by animals, because even if a body is scavenged by animals, it's not going to signal dismemberment. You will see bite marks in the bones. Some of the bones may even be missing, but from my understanding, his the top of his whole skull was gone. Like, basically from his forehead back is basically gone, to kind of give you a picture of what they're saying. Now, before I saw the picture of what his skull looked like, I was, confused. And, I'm not going to show that here because I'm pretty sure YouTube would not approve of or like that. So I'm not going to show the picture that I saw here. Now, if you remember in part 1, I did say that the investigators and the medical examiner is saying that the autopsy showed that basically his body was found, or his remains were found the way they were found, is because they're trying to make it look like he ran into the woods and just basically dropped dead, and the animals basically picked his body apart or were feeding on him. But the medical examiner later goes on to say that they cannot determine his cause of death. Now, that sounds a little strange to me, because which is it? Are you saying that he was, eaten or fed on by animals to the point that you found his remains in the state that they were in? Or is it something else and you can't determine that? So you have to make up your mind in this instance, because you can't give two sides. You can't give two versions of one story or one report. Also, if you'll recall that in part 1, I did tell you that Rasheem was staying at a Super 8 motel with a roommate. Now, this is one of my theories, and I hope that I'm wrong, and I hope that it's just my mind going in eight different directions. But I thought about this as a theory as to why the roommate put Rasheem in the situation where he had to walk back to the hotel and was being followed by those men. Now, my theory is, what if Rasheem and this roommate had gotten to an argument because the roommate saw that Rasheem knew something that was going on the job, and he didn't want Rasheem to tell. So he basically, said, you're walking back to the hotel. I'm not taking you back. And then he called these guys to basically follow Rasheem in these trucks, and then he, got scared, ran into the woods, and then the guys attacked him and dismembered him. Or my other theory is maybe the roommate wanted something to happen between him and Rasheem as far as like intimate wise, and Rasheem was like, no, I'm not with that, that can't, that's not gonna happen, and the roommate didn't want to accept that for what it was. And so yet again, he basically told him, you have to walk home, you have to walk back to the hotel. And then he called these guys and said, hey, he's walking in this direction, I need you to catch him, scare him so that he'll run into the woods, and which he did. And the guys beat him up, dismembered him, and left him there once they had done what they were supposed to do. Now, that's just a theory of mine. Now, what really grinds my gear about this case is they are saying that there is no reason to believe that foul play was involved when it comes to his disappearance and also murder. But if you look at this video that you are seeing here, or a picture that you're seeing here, you will clearly see that this man has on no shirt. He looks like he's looking for somebody. And if I'm not mistaken, it looks like he doesn't have on any shoes as well, or maybe he doesn't have on but one shoe. Now, why is his shirt missing? Why is he running and clearly looking for someone that we cannot see, of course? These are questions that need to be asked as well as answered. Now, remember I said that the medical examiner said that they could not determine what caused Rasheem's death. They are also characterizing his remains as being exposed to advanced decomp. Now, if memory serves me correctly, in October, that is like during the fall and where it starts to get cooler as the days go on. Um, and in some areas that happens faster than others. So I want to know if he was exposed to advanced situations where he would be decomposing fast, what actually happened, because he was found a month after he basically went missing or disappeared. And depending on if it's cool or hot or warm outside, which I'm pretty sure it probably was cooler by October, how could he have been decomposing so fast that when they found him, he didn't have any tissue or any muscle left to basically test him for poisons or anything like that? Now, seeing as he's seen on what some people seem to think is a camera that people use, hunters use specifically for catching deer and other animals during their season of hunting. I would venture to even say that he probably was, shot by like a rifle like you would shoot a deer with, or even, some kind of poisonous something like a tranquilizer from a far distance away, and he didn't see it coming and it knocked him out. And that's when they were able to basically, beat him and dismember him with no issues, and they left him there to basically decompose. But hopefully, those theories are probably wrong, and like I said, they're just, my theories. But that brings me to the end of this video, guys. If you like this video, please don't forget to leave me a like. Don't forget to leave me a comment down in the comment section below. And if you are not already subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. It helps me and the channel out a lot, and it shows me how much you guys are interested in these videos and want to keep them coming. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
From the chanting,
"Justice for Rasheem Carter,"
to these signs,
"Justice for Rasheem Carter,"
it's clear that family members and friends want someone to be held accountable for the death of 25-year-old Rasheem Carter.
This was not a natural death. This represents a young man who was killed.
Well-known civil rights attorney Ben Crump gives the gruesome details on how the Jefferson County man was found.
His head was severed from his body. His vertebrae, his spinal cord, was in another spot they discovered away from his severed head. They have recently found remains that they believe are also Rasheem Carter.
Carter was last seen outside a Super 8 hotel at the beginning of October in Laurel, which is half an hour from where he had been contracted to work in Taylorsville at Georgia Pacific. Remains believed to be his were found on November 2nd. Those close to Carter say he was being threatened by people he knew.
He was dutifully and gainfully employed, just trying to make a living for his young child, and ends up dead, chased by what we believe to be white supremacists, a lynch mob.
In fact, Carter's mother, Tiffany Carter, says he even let her know about it during one of his last text messages to her right before he went missing.
He said, "Me and the owner of this company not seeing eye to eye, Mama." His name, which I can't say at this time, but if anything happened to me, he's responsible for it. I'm too smart, Mama. He got these guys wanting to kill me.
But they say what's even more alarming is the fact that someone attempted to use Carter's credit card even after it was determined that he was dead.
And we believe that is a big clue. Think about it. The person who had his credit card is likely to have encountered him while he was alive. And it shouldn't have to be this difficult for this broken-hearted mother to get answers.